Chapter 1, Enticing Prelude. Good day. My name's Aditya, a 24-year-old lad hailing from the year 2046. I might have been just another ordinary bloke, but my dear dad, a proud product of the 90s, had bestowed upon me the gift of freedom to explore the wonders of life myself. As much as I relished this, it wasn't without its fair share of troubles. But the tides turned and the situation took a twist when dear old dad decided to take charge. Now, I urge you all to lend me your ears, not only for the sheer entertainment value of my tale but also for the chance to get a glimpse of what 90s kids are like as parents. Oops, did I spill the beans? No matter, let's forge ahead and embark on my saga. Welcome, one and all. Tenedy Beach Park, Vishakhapatnam, February 14, 2046. The morning sun had just begun to peek through the horizon, and a pink hibiscus had bloomed, adding to the beauty of the serene seascape. The gentle sound of waves crashing against the shore could be heard, accompanied by the chirping of birds that had awakened from their slumber. As the clock struck 6 a.m., the AI robots began to serve milk packets to each house, efficiently carrying out their daily routine. Life in this machine-like world was heavily regimented, with automated cars and disciplined morning walks being the norm. The government had implemented strict rules, including mandatory face masks, to ensure the safety of its citizens. Yet, amidst all these regulations, there was one place in every city that remained untouched: parks. In recent years, the government had mandated that every locality should have a park with at least 300 plants and trees, ensuring that people had access to green spaces in their daily lives. These parks served as a sanctuary for the city's residents, a place where they could remove their masks publicly and breathe in the fresh air. Here, amidst the lush greenery, people would gather to jog, exercise, or simply relax and soak in the beauty of nature. Children would run around, playing hide and seek among the trees, while adults would sit on benches, chatting and enjoying each other's company. As the city bustled around him, a young man sat on the bench by the water's edge, lost in thought. With his handsome features and charming smile, he could easily catch the eye of any passerby, but his mind was elsewhere. Dressed in a crisp white polo shirt and blue pants that accentuated his lean frame, he looked like a model fresh off a fashion shoot. His white shoes added a touch of elegance to his outfit, making him stand out even more. Yet, despite his impeccable appearance, his heart was heavy with worry. As he gazed out at the tranquil waters, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. The gentle lapping of the waves against the shore and the chirping of the nearby birds was soothing to his soul. But, as much as he tried to lose himself in the beauty of nature, his worries persisted. With a deep sigh, he looked down at the ground, his thoughts consumed by the weight of his problems. The passing girls caught his attention, but he barely registered their admiring glances. This guy was none other than me. More than being melancholic, I felt disoriented. To explain why I'm dejected, I must explain you my story from scratch to make you comprehend my state of affairs. My story starts with my dad, Sahasrajit Shetty. He not only gave birth to me but also to a new situation that I'm in now. As soon as I stepped into this world, he took me into his arms. An Indian father may say, "My son will be." Instead, my father said, "Let him explore and grow." My mother and all my family members were happy at the perception he has got. But it took them not long to discern what these words actually meant. The memories of that day, the 10th of March 2023, are etched deep in my mother's heart. It was a day when my tiny feet took their first independent steps, and my journey toward exploring the world began. As I played with my smart tab, I sensed an inexplicable urge to stand up, to test the limits of my tiny body. I grasped the edge of the table, my little fingers holding onto the smooth surface, as I slowly pushed myself up. My mother, engrossed in creating some reels in the kitchen, was caught off guard as I let go of the table and took my first wobbly step toward the unknown. For a moment, time stood still, as my father paused his 100th viewing of The Lion King and turned towards me, his eyes gleaming with pride and wonder. It was a sight that he would cherish for the rest of his life, the image of his baby taking its first tentative steps, venturing out into the world. "See, Aditya is walking," Mom exclaimed, looking at me from the kitchen. Dad looked at me and smiled at my augmentation. After taking a few steps forward, I stumbled and fell onto one of my toys, causing me to cry out in pain. My mother quickly rushed over to pick me up and check if I was okay. It turned out that I had fallen onto a toy crane, and the lever of the toy had struck me hard. As I cried out in pain from the toy crane hitting me hard, my mother's concern was palpable. She rushed over to me, her gentle touch soothing my wounds as she examined the damage. "He hurt his leg," she exclaimed, her voice laced with worry and a tinge of admonishment. Her gaze then shifted towards my father, as if seeking an explanation for what had happened. "You could have moved the toy," she chided gently, her maternal instincts in full force. Yet, there was no malice in her words, only a desire to protect her child from harm. Father in no time replied, "He will learn, let him explore." Little did we know that this incident, as significant as it may have seemed, was only a small blip in the grand scheme of things. In the months and years that followed, we would encounter challenges and obstacles that would test our resolve and strength. The memories of that summer day, the 18th of June 2030, are still vivid in my mind. I was just 8 years old, eager to see what the world beyond our home had to offer. And my father, sensing my restlessness, decided to surprise me with an electric cycle. Probably he felt, enough of exploring home, Aditya should now explore the locality. On that day, I found myself the proud owner of one of the most cutting-edge, Android-powered electric cycles available. And yet, despite its advanced features, I still had much to learn about balancing it. With some trepidation, I made my way to the nearby road, nestled close to a quiet park, hoping to practice my cycling skills free from the chaos of traffic. I straddled the cycle, my left leg resting on the ground, attempting to find my balance before my first try. But as doubts crept in and my resolve wavered, I turned to see my father standing a few feet away, his hands clasped together and a warm smile on his face. At that moment, his presence was all the reassurance I needed to push forward and take that first step, propelling myself forward into a world of discovery and adventure. As I gathered my nerves and prepared to make my first attempt, the comforting presence of my father by my side gave me the confidence I needed to push forward. I pushed my leg back and began to move forward, feeling the wind rush past me as I picked up speed. But before I could even reach for the accelerator, disaster struck. The next thing I knew, I was sprawled out on the pavement, my electric cycle a few feet away from me. I felt a sharp pain in my hand and looked down to see that my elbow was bleeding. Looking up at my father, I expected a sense of worry for me, but he still wore the same warm smile. He said, "No issues, Aditya, get up and try. Explore the ride." What kind of family did I fall into? My conscience nudged me up as I stared at a father helping his son learn to cycle far away. Right from choosing a dish in a restaurant to choosing a stream for my graduation, Dad gave me the freedom to explore. As I approached the end of my graduation, I made the decision to pursue an MBA, with the ultimate goal of becoming an entrepreneur. In 2043, the job market was virtually unrecognizable, with AI replacing human employees in nearly every sector. The only way to truly succeed was through innovation and passive assets, a reality that many people struggle to accept. But my typical middle-class dad has a different set of thoughts. I knew Dad is open to exploring alternatives in post-graduation. But when I intimated to him about my decision about pursuing MBA, all he said is, "Aditya, are you free tomorrow morning? I need to share something with you." I agreed to that but was curious about what this man had to talk to me in years now. Upstairs of our home, Vishakhapatnam, March 20, 2043, I gazed out at the majestic mountains that loomed before us. The towering buildings that dotted their peaks only added to their grandeur, making me feel small and insignificant in their shadow. Beside sat Dad. We perched on the parapet, our feet dangling lazily over the edge as we awaited the sunrise. My mother, meanwhile, was bustling about behind us, her hands busy with the never-ending task of laundry. I'm sure Mom would witness the Lion King-like scene watching our silhouette as the sun rises. These thoughts got stronger when I noticed Dad setting his posture as he adorned the rising sun. As I looked out at the sprawling mountainscape before me, I couldn't help but imagine the soaring orchestral score of the Lion King swelling in the background. In my mind's eye, I could see Mufasa, the wise and powerful king of the Pride Lands, delivering his iconic line, "Everything that the light touches is our kingdom." But as I turned to my father, I couldn't help but wonder if he would echo those same words. Intimidating, will he say that all of this is our kingdom? Within no time Dad spoke in a deep and measured voice, "Aditya, everything the light touches is for us to learn from." Perfect. I pondered, what would you expect from a middle-class father? Nature and its surroundings can be the most powerful instructors for us to learn from, my dear Aditya, he continued. Just look at yourself, you are a living testament to this truth. I was made to lead such a life, I thought as I turned out toward Dad. Be it walking or cycling, you have fallen down many times before you mastered things. This undoubtedly made you strong. My interest in this meeting has dwindled, and I'm now feeling both bored and frustrated. But as you move forward, there may be some tough decisions you'll have to make where failure is not an option for learning. That's precisely why I'm here to provide guidance. What was that you feel more careful about, Dad? I asked out of curiosity. In no time. After checking that Mother had left the room, he faced me and advised, there are two crucial aspects to consider before making any decisions, your career and your romantic life. I was literally flabbergasted at these words. How come my father has been talking about my love life, who has always left me to explore myself? In response, I offered a rather unenthusiastic reply, at the moment, Father, I'm not involved in any romantic relationships. Neither have you made any decision about your career as well. I know it, dear. Dad continued, however, it's important that you start taking this matter seriously. If you wait to learn from your mistakes, you may end up falling behind in society. I wanted to know the reason behind these words. And I waited for not more than a second to ask, why are you particular about this, Dad? Why do you feel so? Dad responded, I've always believed that personal learning is the most effective way to acquire knowledge, and that's exactly how I learned as well. I wanted to know his tale. Before I asked for the same, he answered the query in my mind. When I was around 24 years old, I made a personal decision to become a freelancer, Aditya. I never really considered what society thought about my choice at the time, I simply knew what I wanted and pursued it. However, my confidence was shaken when I turned 27 and my parents began pushing me to get married. It was then that I realized the weight of societal expectations and how they could impact my personal choices. I continued to absorb every word now. He continued, as my parents began the search for a suitable match for me, the first inquiry potential partners made was about my occupation. Despite my parents clarifying that I worked as a freelancer, some individuals were unfamiliar with the concept and would mistakenly label me inutile. Unfortunately, this led to several rejections, which I initially brushed off with resilience. However, as time went by, I noticed others around me getting married to their beloveds without societal criticism, while those of us considering arranged marriages were harshly judged. He got a point, I thought. In that instant, a realization washed over me that perhaps I had erred in not pursuing a relationship. Do you want me to get into a relationship anyhow, Dad? I asked him. Aditya, I would never want you to feel pressured into a relationship. However, if there's someone you're interested in, don't hesitate to express your feelings to them. Even if they don't reciprocate, don't perceive it as a problem. My only wish is for you to avoid any future regrets, reassured Dad, rising from his seat. I nodded my head in agreement. Son, it's important to understand that in both your career and love life, time is of the essence. Society's expectations can be suffocating, and before you know it, you may find yourself struggling to make things right. Keep this in mind as you navigate your journey, he advised before heading downstairs for his morning walk. The sonorous echoes of his father's words had always resonated within him, carrying a certain weight of wisdom and authority. He had been sure that his father's guidance would prove to be meaningful, yet he could not help but harbor a degree of skepticism. My outlook stayed constant until I met her. Hey! If you liked this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends, family, and loved ones. I would really appreciate it if you could leave your thoughts and predictions for the next episode in the comments section. Also, I'm a great creative writer and I'm open to collaboration. If you're a filmmaker looking for a creative partner, I would be happy to work with you to provide enticing storylines. Feel free to DM me on my email or WhatsApp, and let's make something amazing together.